China and the United States are in an intense battle to dominate the seas. Scientists from the Shanghai Jiao Tong University in China have created a new detection system that they claim can track submarines better than anything else on the planet. It achieves this by listening to the ocean rocks instead of the water. Why? Because waves emitted by ships last much longer on the seabed than they do in water. This gives more material for the Chinese system to work with and determine the source. The system is reportedly able to work with even the faintest of waves. It has already succeeded in detecting surface ships 1.86 miles away, and there are plans to amp that number up to a whopping 31 miles. If all of these are true, American submarines should be worried. Very worried. Half of their dominance in the seas is on their stealth, their ability to operate freely without being spotted. China's new machine threatens that. However, this is where it gets interesting. The US has also built a lethal weapon for China to fear, the Manta Ray. The Manta Ray. In the United States today, the term Manta Ray has two meanings. One is a massive sea creature whose body shape is extremely efficient for swimming underwater, that enables the creature glide smoothly through the water with low, graceful flaps of its wing-like fins. This glide method allows the Manta Ray to conserve energy and maximize movement efficiency. This has worked so well for manta rays that they have remained relatively unchanged for millions of years. It is these incredible feats that have led to the second meaning of the Manta Ray. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA for short, is developing a new type of submarine with extensive similarities to this creature, and the new submarine is named, well, the Manta Ray. The Manta Ray introduces a groundbreaking category of unmanned underwater vehicles, UUVs, designed for extended missions, vast distances, and versatile payload capacities, making it ideal for sustained operations in ever-changing ocean settings. The project began in 2020 when DARPA launched an initiative to develop a sizable underwater drone capable of functioning without reliance on crewed ships or port facilities. To bring this vision to life, DARPA sparked a competition between two global defense giants, Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin, and a third, smaller yet highly capable contender, PACMAR Technologies. In the initial phase, all three companies crafted and tested innovative solutions for key Manta Ray components, such as energy management, UUV reliability, biofouling and corrosion control, navigation, and undersea obstacle avoidance, among other areas that directly enable long-endurance missions. In a surprising twist, Lockheed Martin was dropped out of the running by the end of the first phase. Only Northrop Grumman and PACMAR Technologies made it to the second in 2021. In the second phase, the two selected companies had to each develop full-scale prototype vehicles. Their vehicles must include threat detection, classification, and communications capabilities, high-efficiency propulsion systems, and the ability to withstand the rigors of the undersea. All of these while remaining completely autonomous or requiring little human interaction to achieve mission goals. Northrop Grumman understood the assignment and set to work. In 3 years, the company not only built a full-scale Manta Ray prototype, but also completed full-scale in-water testing of the vehicle. Testing took place off the coast of Southern California in February and March 2024. The test demonstrated at-sea hydrodynamic performance, including submerged operations, using all the vehicle's modes of propulsion and steering, buoyancy, propellers, and control surfaces. The tests also proved the vehicle's modularity. Northrop Grumman shipped the prototype in subsections from the build location in Maryland to the test location in California. This showed that Northrop Grumman's offering was easy to ship, assemble, and deploy wherever the vehicle may be needed anywhere on the planet without taking up valuable real estate inside ships, submarines, or other naval facilities that could deploy it. Once deployed, the sub uses its energy-efficient propellers for some buoyancy-driven gliding to move through the water, as it did in the recent test. By the end of the test, Northrop Grumman was able to assess the most crucial subsystems that make the Manta Ray function as advertised and be seen by all, not just as another UUV, but for what it really is, a lethal unmanned submarine designed to be unlike anything before it. The vehicle can dive deeper than any submarine on the planet, down to the ocean floor. Here, it harvests energy directly from the sea, ensuring that it never runs out of power. In a 2022 DARPA video, the vehicle achieved this by extending what appears to be a retractable wave energy harvesting device that converts the movement of water into electricity. So, except the impossible happens and all the water in the world disappears, the Manta Ray could, in theory, operate forever. As it recharges, the vehicle hibernates with nearly no detectable electromagnetic emissions that could reveal its presence or location to enemy vehicles. This radio silence, the impressive diving depths, and an overall low observability design give the Manta Ray an unrivaled level of stealth, even when up against some of the stealthiest submarines in the world. Such characteristic makes the Manta Ray ideal for the widest array of missions. As such, the vehicle will have command, control, and communications capability to enable long-duration operations with minimal human involvement. It will also have several payload bays of multiple sizes and types to enable it to wield an entire arsenal of weapons and therefore handle a variety of naval missions. A stealthy, underwater drone armed to its fins, capable of carrying out missions autonomously without the need for manual refueling, opens up a world of possibilities. One is the use as a surveillance system. In one video, the Manta Ray appears to be floating a hydrophone array. Hydrophones, otherwise known as passive sonar, are basically giant microphones that listen to the ocean for the telltale sounds of enemy submarines. They do not produce detectable emissions, use a minimum amount of electricity, and collect a large amount of data that could quickly be processed into information that can be acted on. Currently, the Navy relies on specialized surface ships and some static hydrophone arrays to track submarines. These ships are relatively vulnerable to attack and would have to be withdrawn in wartime when they are needed the most. The Manta Ray could be a superior alternative to them, and it could be much more. When its priority isn't gathering intelligence, the Manta Ray could wake from its hibernating slumber and jump right into action to strike critical enemy targets from out of nowhere, and then return to the deep blue shadows waiting to strike again. With all of these capabilities on offer, the Manta Ray submarine can be tasked with performing a wide array of functions and operates in a way that, simply put, could make the Manta Ray a major source of China's fears. Manta Ray, source of China's fears. The Manta Ray submarine has proven to be unlike anything in service today. It's a new type of machine that all parties are still working to understand fully, even those working on it. This also means its appropriate countermeasures likely do not exist yet, and rivals such as China wouldn't have a response to it. This could be bad news for China, as the Manta Ray already has a list of factors that could really make it a machine to fear. Factors such as third persistent ISR. ISR stands for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. It is the term used to describe operations that revolve around gathering information on people or places of interest. For successful ISR operations, a spy is needed, a spy that is silent, swift, and effective. The ultimate spy. The Manta Ray fits the bill. It moves silently, operates swiftly, and executes its tasks effectively. It is designed for long-duration, autonomous missions in deep-sea environments. It can do all of these for much longer periods too, because unlike traditional submarines, or even current UUVs, it can hibernate on the ocean floor, ready to be activated when needed, instead of having to return all of the way back to base ever so regularly. This singular capability, on its own, means the silent monitoring of Chinese submarines near Hainan Island, home to China's nuclear-armed SBN fleet, tracking undersea cables, and tapping into critical Chinese communication networks, gathering strategic intelligence around disputed territories, including the Nine-Dash Line and Taiwan Strait, and so on. With the Manta Ray in the seas, China must have some heightened fear of covert Western intelligence operations that could map out its undersea defenses and expose its submarine movements, which could well cripple its second strike nuclear deterrence, by the way. China relies heavily on its nuclear submarines for this role. Should the Manta Ray spot them early enough, it could send out word and coordinates to allies on where they should strike next, leaving China's most valuable weapons in ruins. Second, unmanned logistics and sabotage roles. The Manta Ray can be more than a spy. It is designed with enough internal mobility to serve logistics, resupply, and sabotage roles. By logistics and resupply, it could stock up U.S. forces in the Indo-Pacific underwater without these forces having to resurface, which could make them much easier to spot. By sabotage, it could damage enemy oil rigs, ports, deep-sea fiber optic cables, and other valuable sea-based assets by deploying mines and sensors to detonate the mines. And thanks to being unmanned, it can do all of these anywhere, even at depths that would be life-threatening to pilots of manned vehicles. There is also the possibility of a future version that could deploy torpedoes to loitering munitions to ambush key Chinese naval assets. 1. Strengthens U.S. alliances in the Pacific. The stronger the U.S. Navy gets, the stronger its allies get. Therefore, the stronger the alliance that China would have to go against during conflict. By gathering crucial intelligence, not only will the US be kept abreast of all relevant battlefield information, but so also will Japan, Australia, the Philippines, Taiwan, and other allies, likely to be invested in the increasingly likely conflict over the sovereignty of Taiwan. Using gathered information, Taiwan could deploy its drones for early warning against the Chinese Navy movements, while the US, Japan, and Australia and other allies monitor China's artificial islands and naval bases, all thanks to information gathered by the Manta Ray. The benefits of a machine like the Manta Ray are truly endless. They could dictate the wars of the future, deciding who would be the victor and who wouldn't. For these reasons, the United States isn't alone in the quest for building a metal fish. China, its great rival, is hungry for it too. China responds. This is the HSU-001. China's first large displacement autonomous underwater vehicle. It was unveiled in 2019 at a parade to mark the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. The parade was massive, trumping previous ones in the country, and the HSU-001. It represented a change in naval warfare for China. It was different, advanced. Its twin propellers were optimized for cruising, making the vehicle ideal for long-range patrols. Its thrusters, buried in the hull, allow it to hover or move vertically up or down, or even sideways. The flat nose is a telltale sign that it has a relatively large sonar for detecting underwater targets. The above-surface eyes and ears are carried by two masts, which fold down into the streamlined hull when not in use. The small bumps on either side at the front might be part of a homing system that enables it locate underwater objects. Impressive, no doubt. And it isn't even the only such vehicle China boasts. China Central Television, CCTV, one of the key players in the Chinese government, reported that China has 6 variants of what is described as soft-bodied submersibles that imitate the American Manta Ray, and they have begun, quote, practical deployment in the South China Sea. The submersibles were reportedly developed by a team at Northwestern Polytechnical University of China after studying manta rays. The current versions are equipped with cameras, sonar, and the Beidou satellite navigation system. Tests are underway with these versions. In the last year, the subs have completed 60-day glides underwater. Researchers are now preparing to carry out deep-sea testing of a 1,700-pound version. At least one future, larger ton-class version is also already being developed for armed reconnaissance. Such a version would enable the submarines carry heavier payloads and sail to farther distances, capabilities made possible, in no small part, by the ship's imitation of the physiology of the manta ray. Like with their American counterparts, this imitation gives them better endurance, longer range, and better acoustic stealth than traditional submarines. Like their American counterparts, these could lead to them being used in anti-sub and anti-ship warfare. However, the exact state of these Chinese underwater vehicles remains largely unknown, aside from the fact that they are indeed taking shape. The American Manta Ray, on the other hand, is beyond the testing phase. Following recent successful tests, DARPA is now engaging with the U.S. Navy on how best the new sub and its boatload of technologies can be further tested, developed, and eventually adopted. The Manta Ray isn't the only underwater drone being developed by the US. The AUKUS Alliance of Australia, the UK, and the US, for instance, has been developing some underwater drones too, including those small enough to be launched from a submarine's torpedo tube. Drones that could be used both for reconnaissance and attack missions. As it stands now, though, the Manta Ray remains at the forefront of this new class of weapons. The Manta Ray, inspired by nature and motivated by an intense rivalry between two of the most powerful nations on Earth. This unique submarine promises to keep the United States dominant in the deep blue by bringing capabilities that China simply cannot counter or defend against. It promises to be the future of naval warfare, and to have a glimpse of what this future would look like, the US Navy says all you have to do is give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. So do that now, and thanks for watching.